13th, 2023 meeting of the City of Coolidge City Council. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Norma, would you call the roll, please?
Yes. Councilmember Tom Bagnall.
Present.
Councilmember Audrey Saavedra.
Present.
Councilmember Steve Hudson.
Here.
Mayor John Thompson.
Here.
Vice Mayor Jackie Henry.
Here.
Councilmember Tatiana Murrieta.
Here.
And Councilmember Eric Daniels.
Here.
Thank you. We have a quorum, Mayor.
Thank you, Norma. Under presentations, item number 3, the first one is a proclamation for the Letter Carriers Food Drive Day. I'm going to read the proclamation. Whereas every year on the second Saturday in May, letter carriers across the country collect non-perishable food as a part of the nation's largest one-day food drive, distributing donations to local food banks. And whereas the Letter Carriers Stamp Out Hunger Food Drive is just one example of how letter carriers work to make a difference in the lives of those they serve. Since the pilot drive was held in 1991 and more than 1.82 billion pounds of food have been collected, and whereas we recognize all letter carriers for their hard work and their commitment to their communities, all of the food collected in our community stays in our community, and we support carriers' efforts to help those in need in our community. And whereas we also recognize the noteworthy milestone of 31 years that the National Letter Carrier Food Drive celebrates in 2023. Now, therefore, I, John Thompson, Mayor of the City of Coolidge, do hereby proclaim Saturday, May 13th, 2023 as Letter Carriers Stamp Out Hunger Food Drive Day in the City of Coolidge, Arizona. And further, I urge all residents of Coolidge to recognize our letter carriers and support the food drive by placing non-perishable food items near your mailbox on Saturday, May 13th, 2023. Together we can fight hunger in our community. Okay.
That's this Saturday.
All right. We're going to move into call to the public. And what I'm going to do is, ordinarily I would have people wait on if there was an item on the agenda that I would tell you if you were here on that item that you could come and talk on that. But on the items on the agenda now that had public hearings, I've already had them. So if you're here to speak on an item that might be on the agenda, then you can speak at call to the public, but you have a 3-minute limit. So if there's anybody here that wants to address the council, when you step up, please state your name and your address, and you have no more than 3 minutes to address the council. Norma, do you have anybody?
Yes, Mayor. Our first speaker is Michelle Canagard.
Okay.
I'm Michelle Kenegard. I live at 1358 West Pima Avenue in Heartland Ranch. I'd like to speak about the mobile home park that's being planned at Skousen and Martin. I think that the council is underestimating their impact that they've had to the community, the amount of business that is being brought to Coolidge. The interest in development is far greater than you think. And I think that adding this mobile home park at that particular area is selling Coolidge short. I think that the developers would love to expand in those areas, and I think that we should facilitate that. It's a much better tax situation for the city. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, our next speaker is Angela Bowman.
Okay.
Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening.
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and start. So my name is Angela Bowman. My address is 1937 West Pima Avenue. Um, so I attended last month's meeting and just wanted the opportunity to voice my concerns about the new development that's between Martin and Scounson Road. So, um, excuse me, I'm a little nervous. So I understand that there will be a time that the decision making will be out of our hands. So, however, while we do have it, we need to make the necessary changes that will not only benefit the new development, but also the people outside of it as well. I'm not here by any means to say that, to say not to build. I'm definitely for growth. But however, if growth means stepping on the people who have already been here for years without any regard, then there lies the problem. I don't know why I'm so nervous. I usually talk in front of people. I also understand that there is no perfect transition when it comes to change and that there will always be someone who's going to be upset about it. However, what we're asking for is that you take into consideration our voices and opinions tonight and work together with us to and fair transition. I'm a member of this community. I'm a single parent of four. I have two straight A student athletes in high school, a third grader, and a 1-year-old. And when I think of affordable, the comment of affordable and attainable came up. So when I think of affordable, to me it means the ability to pay all of my bills on time and also able to feed and meet the demands of my children's daily needs and not trying to figure out which bill I can allow to go behind so they can eat and get to school daily. I'm a pharmacy benefit manager for United Health Group, and I can honestly say that I'm making more money than I've ever had before in my life. But somehow, paying $1,500 to $1,600 a month is nowhere attainable for me. So affordable housing, it's been a tremendous need for this community. And at this point, for me, I can say it's literally driving me out of Coolidge because I can't afford to live here anymore. Last month, there was again a discussion about the Sun's development in Casa Grande, and I'm sure the traffic is running smoothly due to the fact that they have 4 lanes, a median, and a turning lane, okay, on both sides. So where we know as Martin Road and Scounson Road is a narrow road on both halves. So we have a church out there on Martin, and we're worried about the safety of us turning in and out into our church without being hit. The speed limit is already 50 miles an hour. And Mr. Mayor, I know you did say we do have to get with the police or, I forgot, you said police or ADOT, but if you can help us go into the right direction is how we get that going and get it started. So like I said, just making sure it's a safe transition for us to get in and out of church to where we don't have to worry about any accidents and then something changes for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Angela.
Great job.
You didn't seem nervous at all.
Mayor, our next speaker is Tom Scott.
My name is Tom Scott. I live at 808 West Pima Avenue here in Coolidge. I lived in Coolidge for 35 years. This is my home. This is where I'm going to retire at. Mayor Thompson and City Council members, I have some concerns about the Hollow Hawk proposed subdivision. One concern I have is that our roads and intersections won't be able to handle the possible increase of around 2,000 additional vehicles by the time this project is built out. This will be a safety concern for all citizens of Coolidge, plus the overwhelming the town's infrastructure. I want Coolidge to grow, but in a sustainable way. The other thing I have is that the developers stated that they found a water loophole and would not be required to have a 100-year water certificate. The 100-year water certificate was put into place by the Arizona Department of Water Resources to guarantee that the water would be available in subdivisions for 100 years. It is important to follow government regulations put into place to guarantee the availability of water for all citizens come, so I don't think we should deviate that, especially on the water issue. The last thing is it was said that these new homes won't be placed on a poured foundation, concrete foundation, like traditional homes, but will be upon cement blocks with a skirting around the bottom of the home to the ground. How is this going to look in 10 to 20 years? What is their longevity in the years to come? With growth, Coolidge will prosper and all citizens will benefit if it's done correctly. Thank you.
Okay, Mayor. One more speaker is Dorothy Wright.
Good afternoon. My name is Dorothy Wright. I am a longtime resident of Coolidge. I was born and raised in Randolph. My concern is that we fellowship on off Martin Road, right across the street where the mobile homes or the manufactured homes will be coming in. Our concerns is the 2 lanes, where it's already a lot of problems for the people coming in and going out to the church, and not only to the church, to the residents that live out there. Our concern is what's going to be done about the roads condition there. Will it be a turning lane there to avoid any possible accident? Because some of the people are elderly people that drive there and go to fellowship there. As I said, that I was born and raised in Randolph. And Randolph community on June 17th is having a Juneteenth celebration. And we would like to, as one of the board members, we would like to extend the invitation to the Coolidge board, to you all for that day at 4 o'clock out in Randolph. Thank you.
Where in Randolph?
Thank you.
Oh, yes, it doesn't matter.
Our next speaker is Charlie Rosenbaum.
Mayor, council, sorry about that. I'm a little bit late. I had to run from the FFA awards ceremony to get here. The reason why I mentioned those students is very simple. Those kids, if you want them to stay in this community, need to have a place that they can call their own. These properties do not actually belong to you. You may buy them, but they can take it from you. I think that that's a pretty simple statement. Thank you.
Mayor, that's all the speakers I have.
Okay. Anybody else? Did you sign up? No, can I? Sure, it's public hearing. Come on. I guess holler from here. No.
You gotta form.
Hi, you guys. Rose Robertson. I agree with a lot of people on what they've already said. A $200,000 trailer house on top of a property you don't own, they can evict you so fast your head will spin. And then you have to move a mobile home. And after putting a mobile home and not having it fixed and having to move it, you lose over half your value right off the bat, right? So affordable, not quite, but all for growth. Thanks.
Thanks, Rose.
Okay. All right.
That's all I have.
All right, then. Is that it?
That's it. That's all I have,
Okay.
Mayor.
All right, then. I guess we need a motion to, no, we don't. I can close call the public, can I, Dennis? I'll go ahead and do it. He's not paying attention. Okay, we're out of the call of the public. Move to approval of minutes. Item 4, City Council budget meeting of April 10th, 2023. City Council regular meeting of April 10th, 2023. Item 6, City Council budget meeting April 24th, 2020. Item 7, City Council regular meeting, April 24th, 2023. Are there any corrections, comments, anything on any of these minutes? If not, I need a motion to act.
Mayor, move to approve items 4 through 7 as read.
Second?
Second.
Okay, the motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. That one carries. Business items for consent. Is there anybody on the council that wants to pull any of the consent agenda?
I move to pull number 16 off of the consent agenda.
16 isn't on the consent agenda.
I'm sorry.
It's on the regular
It's
business.
regular business.
Sorry.
Okay. Items 8 through 14, anybody want to,
No, sir.
down here? No? Okay. Item 8, consider approval of ratifying the total purchase amount to include tax for the 10 automatic license plate readers from Flock Safety for an amount not to exceed $35,000, waiving the sealed bid process in the best interest of the city. Item 9, consider approval of entering into a fireworks display agreement between the City of Coolidge and Fireworks Production of Arizona for the purpose of providing a fireworks display show at the 2023 annual 4th of July celebration to be held at the Kenilworth Sports Complex. Item 10, consider approval of the updated Coolidge Municipal Airport Master Plan and Airport Layout Plan, authorizing the mayor to execute the necessary documents. Item 11, consider approval of entering into a First Amendment to the lease agreement between the City of Coolidge and Hanger Wright LLC for the purpose of extending the lease for 1 year each on the milestones set forth in Section 6.3A and B of the lease agreement. Item 12, consider approval of entering into a maintenance service agreement and addendum between USP Technologies and the City of Coolidge for the Val Vista Lift Station and the Kenworthy Trunk Line Odor Control, authorizing the mayor to sign the necessary documents. Item 13, consider amendment to cooperative purchasing agreement between the City of Coolidge and Franklin Striping, Inc., increasing the not-to-exceed amount to $53,437.08 per year, plus applicable tax, and authorizing the mayor to execute the necessary documents. Item 14, consider approval of entering into a cooperative purchasing agreement with Ellison Mills Construction for on-call maintenance and repair services to reconstruct Signal Peak Road from McCarthy Road to Woodruff Road, and authorizing the mayor to sign the necessary documents. Okay. If there are no comments, I need a motion to do
Mayor,
so.
if there's no further discussion, I make a motion we approve through 14 as read.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. We'll move into business, regular items. Item 15. Consider approval of the fiscal year 23-24 benefit plans by remaining with Blue Cross Blue Shield as the insurance provider for medical, dental, and life, remaining with VSP through principal provision, and including the same carriers for all other ancillaries, authorizing the city manager to execute the necessary document.
Mr. Mayor, Eric Johnson has actually done a great job for us for many years, finding us the best rates that we can get for our insurance and package. And tonight, I think Eric has some good news to deliver to us.
Good evening, Eric.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and council members. Eric from GLJ, and we got some good news this year. Despite the inflation that most of us are experiencing and the average employer seeing anywhere from 12 to 14, 15% on their benefits, this year we were able to work the system a little bit, and you're going to be receiving a rate pass on almost everything. So no increases on your medical, dental, your vision, your life. We got a small decrease on your EAP program. And so technically, you could say you actually got overall a small decrease this year. So no increases whatsoever.
That's awesome.
we were able to, what I did basically was I worked with 4 other cities and was able to kind of bundle and use that approach this year to try and keep rates down for all the cities in different factions. So worked really well, and so forth. So just thought we'd come and share some good news when it comes to budget stuff for a change.
Well,
Any questions?
yeah, any questions?
No, you saved us about 5 years ago, and
Yeah.
looks like you're saving us again. So I appreciate your hard work.
Oh, not a problem. Happy. You guys are a pleasure to work with. I really like working with everybody. Great. Thank you.
Mayor, Mr. Johnson, I too want to thank you because Councilmember Hudson, as he stated, you got us out of a bad situation and it helped us out a lot. And I just want to thank you for all your hard work over the years.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Eric. Okay. Item number 16. Oh, all right. Yeah, we better approve that.
I make a motion, we approve the no increase in healthcare this year.
Second.
Okay. All right, there's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Now, there we go. Item 16. Who's going to handle that? All right. Or is that you, Gilbert? Ordinance number 23-01, an ordinance of the mayor and the city council of the city of Coolidge, Arizona, approving and adopting a major amendment to Landmark Ranch planned area development to rezone approximately 319.2 or less, generally located in the area bound by Martin Road to the north, Skousen Road to the west, and Kenworthy Road to the east, within the city of Coolidge Incorporated limits, from the Landmark Ranch planned area development to the Hawk Hollow planned area development, as described in Cool LPZ 230101. The land is located in assessor parcel numbers 209-30-0020 and 209-30-0010 of Section 32 of Township 5 South Range. That should be 8 East. All of the Gila and Salt River Basin Meridian, Pinal County, Arizona. Before you get going there, Gilbert, I want to mention that the public hearing has already been held on this issue, but since we allowed some of the people opposed to it speak at the call to the public, the council had some questions for the people that are putting on the project itself, and they're here, and we're going to allow them to speak. But Gilbert, go ahead.
Mayor Thompson, Vice Mayor Henry, council members, as you mentioned, this item came before you on April 10th. There was a public hearing at that event, and you have made an allowance to allow people to voice their opinion during call to the public. So the item was continued till tonight. So this just quickly from a staff's perspective, if I can talk, this type of housing is supported by our voter-approved general plan, and there is a representative here from the company and the applicant to clarify or answer any questions. And I believe we have Rose Law attorney Peter Furlow here to represent the group. I don't know if you, whenever you'd like, Mayor, you can call him up.
Are you done?
Yes.
Okay.
And I'll answer any questions you may have if you have any questions. But we just wanted to also show you the slide that we have up here before that shows and then the type of units that they're proposing. And I know there was a question, and they can answer this too, but since we're the city, there's a question about why these don't have the 100-year assured water supply, because they're rental houses. So the land underneath, you don't buy them. The state law requires that if you're purchasing a lot as a subdivided lot, you have to have a 100-year assured water supply. In this case, you're buying the unit, but you're renting the space underneath, just like an apartment complex or mobile home park. That's why the 100-year water supply certificate is not required. So I just wanted to explain that because that.
That's a good point, Mr. Mayor. The assured water supply certificate does not apply to rental subdivisions, to apartments. It only applies to the residential subdivisions or industrial subdivisions for that matter.
Aren't they building a number of them in Casa Grande right
yes,
now?
in fact, that's very true. There's a number of rental housing projects other areas. This is becoming more and more popular around the region in our area in particular.
But they're single-family home residences. There's one
single-family.
across from Safeway, I believe, isn't there?
Correct. Single-family detached residential.
All right. Go with you.
Mayor, yes, and if Peter,
Mr. Mayor, before, one other comment that was made tonight, there was a comment made, why aren't these on a permanent foundation? Manufactured homes are not placed on permanent foundations or on concrete slabs. They're put in according to a manufactured housing code. Generally, that is they dig a small pit, they have piers, they anchor them down to meet the manufactured housing code installation requirements, but they are not typically built the same way or fashioned the same way to the ground as a single-family home would be. They also, these are not skirted. If you look, that was one of our concerns, that we do not allow skirting, that the architectural elements on the building extend down to near grade. So if you look at the pictures that were illustrated, there's no skirting on any of those projects or those elevations.
Okay. I know, before we get going on this, I know no matter what happens at the hearing that we had the last time this issue was before the council, there were people that came in from that area and were unhappy with the traffic on Martin Road and the speed and the conditions of pulling out from that church there.
Right.
So no matter what happens on this, that's an issue that we need to deal with.
It's an issue related to growth. If this project were not approved and the original project that was approved were to go forward, you'd have as much or more traffic from that development. It is, every development like this will pay impact fees. Those impact fees will include an impact fee for mitigating future traffic concerns. This developer will add additional lanes adjacent to this project on both Martin Road and Skousen. And when they do the later phases, they'll include those additional lanes along Kenworthy as well. All the streets interior to this project, as you saw the picture a while ago, they're all private, and the city does not maintain those roads. And I think I mentioned at the last meeting that these homes pay the same impact fee that a single-family home pays. There's no distinction between the two. They pay the same amount.
So Rick, what you're saying is if this project goes through, the developer is going to widen the
Yes.
roads,
55-foot,
Martin and Skousen,
Martin and Skousen,
and
correct.
possibly a turn lane in the middle.
Well, there'd be a turn lane, decel lane for sure, as you're heading eastbound, as you're coming into the development, and as you're heading northbound on Skousen, as you're coming into the development, there'd be decel lanes. There'd be 2 lanes in addition to that are both, for two-way traffic, or actually what you'll see is what you see almost like in front of Cross Creek out there on Vaquian Road right now. Cross Creek built 2 lanes. There's the additional lane. Ultimately, what you'll see out here when both sides of the road develop at full build-out will be 5 lanes. 2 lanes in each direction with a center median or a center turn lane with decel lanes as you're going in and out of these projects.
And the developer's paying for that.
The developer will be paying for those improvements, that's correct,
Thank you.
on their half, not the opposite side of the road.
Correct.
It's a 55-foot right-of-way dedication on their half. And as I understand it, they're going to improve that roadway adjacent to the commercial piece that's on the site as well, not just the manufactured home part. It'll go all the way through the mile length of Martin Road and a half mile of Skousen Road.
At the intersection is the commercial.
Correct.
You snuck right in there.
Yeah,
Okay. Welcome.
thank you. Can you hear me all right?
Sure.
Perfect. All right, so as you said, Gilbert said, Peter Furlow, Rose Law Group, 7144 East Stetson Drive. I just want to start off by saying thank you to the staff here. They've been super helpful, and we've been working on this for the past year. And I also want to say thank you to council for giving us the continuance from the April hearing to kind of go back and take a look at some of the questions that were raised and kind of recraft this presentation, which hopefully responds to a lot of the questions not only you had, but the neighbors who showed up here, and some of which I know Ms. Bowman was at the council hearing and and raise questions as well. So hopefully this is helpful at answering those. And again, if you have any questions after, I'm here as well as the rest of the team to answer anything you might have. This is the team. So the first thing that I wanted to discuss is the impact fees, as Rick mentioned. So for this project, they're considered, as you said, single-family home. So these are the numbers at full site build-out for the total impact fees, which comes out to about $7.8 million. As of the fiscal year 2022 total balance for City of Coolidge, you had around, sorry, it's a little bit hard to see, but it's about 8.6 million, which at the end of this project, you'd have a 90% increase in the impact fee fund, which is pretty substantial. And just so you're aware, I'm sure you already know this, but those impact fees are paid. As far as the general fund fee goes, there's about 1.5 million fees and just permitting fees, you know, for grading and paving, sewer, dry utility permits, that sort of thing. That's 1.5 million. Property tax revenue, this was mentioned at last council as well as, you know, tonight. So Hohokam was used for the land assessment, which we think is extremely conservative considering that Hohokam is a bit older and we think this property will have a higher value that it will be assessed at. But even assuming those numbers, it would be $230,000 a year in land assessment. And then from a personal property tax perspective, we had discussions with Pinal County assessors in the months since last council, and they estimated that approximately at full stabilization, it'd be $2.5 million annually in personal property taxes. As far as ancillary economic benefits go, this is basically modeled out, but essentially it was estimated at $55 million in ancillary economic benefit at full build out based off of 67% of household spending. Now, I understand not all of that's going to be contained in Coolidge, but it is going to increase the spending within the city of Coolidge. And more importantly, I think it drives at the point that, you know, the first part of development in a city will be more households. And then with these increased households will come increased discretionary spending, which can lead to, you know, maybe more restaurants coming or retail to the area. Usually population's a big thing that they base those decisions on coming to an area on. This is a summary slide. Basically what I repeated, 90% increase, 7.8 million back fees, 2.5 million in annual property taxes collected, and 1.5 million to the general fund. I think there's a little bit of confusion as far as home payment chart off to the left, kind of which breaks it down. It compares a $375,000 single family home and compares it to a $150,000 Sun Community home. And the summary is off to the right, which is basically that, you know, you're saving $25,000 at closing costs and $1,000 less in monthly payments that you'd be making. Another question that gets brought up when comparing the two is just the resale process as well. We've heard that there's a misconception that once you purchase into Hawk Hollow, that you must sell back to Sun, which I just wanted to clarify tonight. That's not true. You can sell it in the same way as a traditional single-family home. You can sell it to, you know, somebody. The one, I guess, caveat, if you want to call it that, is that the person who's purchasing would have to meet the standards that a person who's initially moving into Hawk Hollow would have to meet as far as background checks, and that's. But besides that, it's just like a single-family home in that regard. Phasing plan was another thing that was discussed at last council, and again, brought up here with, you know, Skousen and East Martin Road. So we have revised it. If you see up here, it's now going from west to east, and East Martin Road and North Skousen Road are going to be built with phase one. So those roadway improvements will come with phase one, and that includes landscaping as well as the perimeter walls. So I know it was a concern about having those up, as well as the landscaping, as well as East Martin and North Skousen being improved upon with the first phase. So we've adjusted the phasing to account for that, and hopefully that's good news. This is just a housing product to give a reminder. I know there's a misconception about manufactured housing, but that's some interiors and that's an exterior. And if you have any questions, we have Sun here today who can probably answer some more questions. Appreciation was brought up. So this graph to the left showcases a Freddie Mac study from 1995 to 2018, so about a 23-year period. If you see, it basically follows the same trajectory of the highs and lows of single family. And a study was also done by Lending Tree that found, appreciation followed the same amount as single family homes at about 7% annually per year over the 2016 to 20 time period. Devaluation of surrounding homes is also brought up as a concern. Instead of showing a study, we just wanted to show you one of our other communities. This one's out in Buckeye. It was developed in 1998, and essentially that area is a 1 mile radius, or that's a community, and within a 1 mile radius, in the last 12 months, 306 homes were sold at an average of $436,000 and 428. And so I also looked at past that 1 mile boundary to see that's what the average home price is outside of that, and it lined up as well. So I guess the point of this is to show that just being in close proximity to these developments doesn't really have an effect on the home value of the surrounding community. And as you saw in the last council, and as you're probably aware of some of their son's other developments, they look quite nice. If you know Palm Creek, Spanish Trails, some of their other ones, they're quite nice. Roadway improvements. This is just showing that 10.8 miles of private roads are being both built and maintained by the developer, as well as 2 miles of public road improvements. You see Skousen, Martin, and then it's Kenworthy off to the east side, which comes with phase 4. But those first two are in phase 1, as well as $3.64 million in street impact fees, which can go to other street and infrastructure help within Coolidge. Local roads were a question. So on top is the private local road section detail for this development, and on bottom is the City of Coolidge standard. If you see at the top, because we don't allow for parking on the streets, there's actually more pavement access, so 24 feet as opposed to 16 feet for those emergency vehicles. This is standard in all Sun communities, so it's not a hypothetical what might happen, or is this an issue for fire, because there's 7 current communities within Arizona and there hasn't been issues with fire access. And there's hasn't been issues with enforcing it. If there's somebody on the road, they get a citation, or they might knock on the door, and it can turn into a towing. But there really shouldn't be a reason for it to get towed or for parking on the street, as there's 500 plus public parking within the community, as well as 3 parking spaces within or on the home site itself. So there's really no need to park on the streets in the community. This goes over the rules. If you have any questions, feel free to ask, but essentially there's no subleasing, there's quiet hours, as well as some animal rules about, no dangerous or aggressive pets, maybe certain breeds might not be allowed in the community, and you're allowed to have 2 registered domesticated pets per household. With approval. With the existing farming community, this was also brought up about, are they aware that, there's current ag use on the property. This was actually super important to me. I was born in Aurora, which is 5,000 people, so it's a fourth of the size of Coolidge. So I also, prior to this, I worked in defending, farmers' land rights and land disputes. So I get it, and I understand good and bad neighbors, and I can confidently say that Sun's a very, very good neighbor, and they understand, and they build in a lot of these communities, not only in Arizona, but in some other states. And so anything related to that, as far as I know, drift and some other issues were discussed. And, we're going to provide a vicinity map that's going to be talked out during the, period of time with meeting with potential tenants, so they're made aware of the area, so that you guys don't have to get calls a week later or months down the road or something like that related to complaints about the surrounding ag use. Commitment to community. These are just for charities that I believe, I know they're all local, but these are from the Casa Grande one, and they do it in all their communities. It's an important part of their mission is to give back to the surrounding community that they live in. And so as a conclusion, as Rick R.A. stated, adheres to the voter-approved vision for the city of Coolidge and the general plan. It's actually at 3.5 density units per acre. Because of the size, it's allowed to be up to 4.5, so they're going up target density. There's $2.5 million in property tax, $7.8 million in impact fees, as I discussed, recommended by P&Z. And we think it's really bringing a diverse and good housing option to the city of Coolidge that I think people should be proud of. So that's my presentation. And again, if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them. Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna, the council, anybody have any questions here on the council?
You were talking about it retaining value, but you showed up to 5 years. Do you have a projection for 10 or 15? I mean,
Yeah.
when I talked about the money that's brought in from taxes from Hohokam, I'm using it, it's an older development, but an older house and an older trailer. Are you saying that continues to pace in the same manner?
Yeah, it's a good question, and thank you for that, Councilwoman Sapura. So that's why I put up this chart to the left. So the 5-year study is off to the right, which is a 7% housing appreciation. And then on the left is a longer form study of the market. So from 95 to 2018, so for 23 years. And it shows that it basically follows the same as single family as far as appreciation goes. So long term, yes, I understand your concern though. Thank you.
Okay, that appreciation, that is on the, if they were going to sell it. But as far as the personal property goes, I believe that if my research is correct, that the way that those are valued is first they take the factory list price, what's listed on the titles, which is normally lower than what a sales price is, and then they go ahead and they subtract the freight, times that by 1.30, and then add the freight back in to get the base value. Then the Arizona Department of Revenue has a schedule of depreciation on these so that it depreciates a little bit each year. So each year the valuation on that personal property goes down. It doesn't completely go away, and I think it gets down to 50%. And then, so we're getting, the city and the schools and everything else will be actually realizing a lot less after about 15 or 16 years, about half of what they were getting.
Thank you, Council Member Bagnall. Yeah, and that is the calculation as far as factory list price, and it gets depreciated over the years is what you're trying to say. And so maybe after 15 years, it's not as worth as much as a single family home. And that's a fair point. As far as the studies that I've read, I've seen varying opinions as far as it losing 50% value. I haven't seen anything that aggressive. These are the two largest and longest term studies that I could find that reflect these numbers, but I'm happy to review any study that you found. and thank you.
Because this is the list from the Department of Revenue that actually shows the depreciation schedule that takes it down. And so, I mean, if you aren't aware of this, I'd be more than happy to let you have a copy of it.
Councilmember Bagnall, thank you. And yeah, I understand that it might not, I guess what I'm trying to say is there might be a little bit less in revenue as compared to single family homes. And that's a fair point as far as, appreciation, depreciation. And when you look at that, but there is a reason why, the person who's purchasing it is paying less. That's one factor. It is attainable workforce housing, which is needed. Coolidge is adding a lot more jobs. And the revenue produced, even if you use a very conservative estimate that we showed, the land taxes that are paid alone are quite substantial, the impact fees. And we think that more than makes up for, any difference between a single family versus manufactured home as far as the personal property taxes.
On some communities, it does talk about fees, and it talks about the fees that when they want to make their show to investors, it says that they are guaranteeing that the fees will be going up 6.8%. Can you talk about that? They say that that's what they guarantee to investors every single year.
Ooh, that might be a question for Sun. Thanks.
On average, over a long period, I don't know if it's 10 years or 20 years, Sun has seen rents go up about somewhere in the 2 to 4% range.
Okay.
In the last year, as everybody knows, there's been very high inflation. So as housing and rental housing, purchasing housing all went up, rents went up a little bit more than that, and maybe that's where the 6.8 came from. That's the first time I've heard that number. But over a long period of time, it's between 2 and 4%.
It's on the Sun, prospectus, so that's their website. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, I don't believe that refers to the increase in rents.
I'm not saying just rents, but the amenities, all of those things, they're saying that they're going to be returning that to investors. Do you know what's involved with that? I mean, is it the pool fees? Is it rents? Is it all of the things? Or can you share any of that with us?
I'm not sure of your question, okay? That they're returning 6.8% to their investors.
Yes.
So for every dollar that investor invests with Sun, they're getting 6.8 cents in return. Okay? I mean, if you invest in a treasury today with the U.S. government, you're getting 4%, right? If you invest with General Motors, maybe you're getting 7.2. I don't know. That's the first time I'm hearing the statistics. I'm sure it's accurate. And in businesses, yes, they do return something to the investors. Otherwise, people wouldn't buy their stock.
Well, all I'm saying is if we're saying it's attainable housing and it's an affordable option for people in Coolidge, we're also saying their rates are going to be going up a certain amount every year. So at some point, it's not as attainable in comparison to buying a regular house.
Well, as inflation goes up every year, as you know,
Sure.
bread goes up, gas goes up, rent goes up slightly. So, but it goes up as incomes go up. So it may be 10 years from now, instead of $500 or $600 a month, maybe it's $700 or $800 a month. I don't know how the progression works exactly at 3%. Okay, but that will be relative to what's attainable 10 years from now. I think the model works. We've been doing it for 50 years, and it's been quite successful, and people have been very happy living in our communities, and we're 96, 98% occupied, and we have more applications than we do places to put people.
My mortgage doesn't go up by that much, so that's all I'm just making that comparison when we say about attainable.
Can an investor come in and make an agreement with you to rent lots and put a manufactured home on there and turn around and rent it to somebody else?
No.
Okay. And I know the concerns of a lot of people at the housing development that's across the street with the church and everything, was the roads. And evidently the roads are going to be taken care of, so that eliminates the issue that most of the folks had in that housing development. And also the people of Coolidge wanting to get in and out, maybe going to CAC or going to Casa Grande, which I hope they're not going over there to buy anything. But anyways, it looks like that was taken care of. The foundation, it's a pit set foundation, is that correct?
Yes, I believe that's what, Lisa, that's what we decided.
Yeah, it's a
yes.
pit set foundation, so it's actually dug underneath. So, and then the mobile home or the manufactured home is put on there and it's anchored down. And it's going to be level, pretty much level with the ground, so there's no skirts around it. They're actually going to put a cement driveway in there. And some people are going to have awnings. If they want a carport, they'll be able to have a carport and everything. So that was an issue that was brought up. And so it's not going to look like your old traditional trailer park. It's actually going to look like a single-family home. Is that correct?
Correct.
And
In
the
fact,
pictures I
have
saw-
I had 7 yeses. You had 7 questions and yes on all
And
those
the
things.
pictures I saw in the presentation that was sent later, I looked at it and it looked very attractable. One of the people that has talked to me said that, they thought that Palm Creek was great for 55 and older, but here it's not for that. Well, everybody has their own opinion. And so I think that it's actually going to attract people that are 55 and older. If I didn't have any family or anything living around me or close to me, I think I would probably downsize to get into that because I don't have to worry about a yard. You have a noise. We don't have to worry about people blaring music at midnight or 1 o'clock. You have an ordinance for dogs. I think it's going to attract younger people that probably wants the first step to get into a more affordable house once their career changes. It's going to give availability for a lady here that's paying $1,600 to $1,800 a month for rent that can get into an affordable house that actually might be able to have a home that she can depend on living there. That's going to have a pretty well set mortgage. Homeowners associations fees go up. Your fees are probably going to go up. The parking itself, I talked to the assistant general manager of Palm Creek, and they do give fines for you to move it, and they will throw it away at your expense. So the parking, I think, is not that big of a deal inside there. You look at these housing developments now, you can park on both sides of the road. So it's going to be about the same width during the day as a normal. You got to take your third car and you got to put sideways into your carport or garage. Right now, if you live in Carter Ranch or one of those other homes. So the width of the street once during the day is about the same thing as most of these house developments you go to right now. When people go there and visit people, or they have 2 or 3 cars or 4 cars, so they have to move things around. So, and then the other thing was the irrigation of the water. And, it takes a lot of water to farm. I know all your landscaping and everything is going to be drip irrigation, and which is, it's saving water, which the Arizona Water Company has a campaign right now to save water. I think you've highlighted and have done everything that the objections that were brought up in the last meeting, the property tax, impact tax. Is it a perfect development? Nothing in this world is perfect. Will it bring other businesses in here? I think so. Do you think Texas Roadhouse just decided to pick that location out to build a restaurant? They picked it out because Palm Creek was there, because they had a built-in clientele. I don't know if that's going to happen in your development or not, but I'll guarantee you that's why they built that restaurant there. The housing depreciation, you go to Palm Creek, they have single-family developments, homes all around there. They have hospitals, they have hotels down the street. Like I said, it's not a perfect development. It gives people an option. I think that you have answered the questions and concerns that the council had up here. Anyways, that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Our goal was to listen to what you had to say, and we really want to become part of the community, and we hope we answered the questions. And so thank you for that.
So these will be ground set. When I say ground set, I mean even with the ground. They're not going to be elevated.
Correct.
Okay, but that's what they showed originally, so you're going to ground set these now.
So the picture has stairs going into the building.
Right.
There are some that show as stairs and some that are show as ground set, but we will ground set these. It's the architectural renderings. They're not only showing necessarily the relation to the ground, but it shows the detail, how the gables look, how the front doors look, the porches look, and everything else. So some of those pictures may have shown some stairs, but we're going to ground set these.
And when you first brought this project over a year ago, the product that you started with and the product you have now is totally different. Is that correct? I mean, the city, the management, people had input, and it's totally different than when you actually started the project.
Yeah, and it's been a great process. I met over a year ago with the staff and some of the city officials, and we took what they said and we incorporated some of the things into our architecture, and what we have is what you see now.
So your original project cost of it has increased, and you haven't even broke ground yet.
It always seems the case.
I think it's interesting that we keep having conversations about skirts and no skirts. I don't have a problem with manufactured homes or trailers or where anybody chooses to live. My issue is that you don't own the land underneath it. And do people have an investment? I'm worried about if we open up 1,100 plots, are people going to buy in KB homes? Are they going to buy in all these empty lots that we've been seeing people backfill in? And I don't think that we're allowing that growth to continue.
The $2,500 a month that you have price for the monthly payment, does that include the rental charge?
Yeah.
So
What we do an apples to apples comparison. And so, for example, in a stick-built house, we'll do principal, interest, taxes, insurance, HOA fees, and utilities. And then we'll use those same comparable ones for ours.
So that's on the low end, it'll be $2,500.
I thought it was 25, but.
That breaks down the cost.
So yes, the short answer to your question is we include all household living, the home expenses.
That's still quite a chunk for somebody just starting out.
Yeah, it's, what we do our comparisons against stick-built houses, and the advantages is we talked about earlier in the presentation today, was that the down payments are significantly less, and then you save about $1,000 a month, which in our minds is significant to our home buyers.
Okay, in addition to the initial amenities that you're going to have or you're proposing to have, as far as the clubhouse, swimming pool, what else do you have? I mean, is there going to be tennis, pickleball, anything like that, or what else are you going to have there?
Yeah, I think we have it conceptually laid out. Let me tell you what we typically have, and if we have specific things, I'll find out from my crew behind me. But we always have a dog park. There's always playgrounds for kids, sports courts, which could be a general sports court. We tend to do more pickleball now than we do tennis. And we'll have a variety of pocket parks in this, and probably actually a couple dog parks, because obviously that's very popular.
And now this is going to be an all-age manufactured home park, and what's been your experience? What percentage of your properties are, across the spectrum with ages?
We get about 30% typically that's 55 and older. Even though it's all age, we'll get about 55%. I would think in Arizona we would probably, that would maybe tend a little bit higher to 55 and older.
The 55 and older or higher on what you have.
Yeah,
So
typically, like I said, it's 30% across the country. In an all-age community, we'll get about 30% 55 and older. I would think in a retirement-type state where people come from the north, from Canada, from the Midwest, wherever, and we see that a lot in Phoenix, obviously, maybe that number gets a little higher. Maybe it's 35% would organically be 55 and older.
okay, because I mean, I know how the mobile homes started out, and they went to manufactured homes, and it's a completely different product now. I mean, it's a nice product. It's a good product and everything. And my concern is lying within the fact that, you know, they do lose that depreciation over the years. So we're going to get less tax revenue off of the personal property because they lose that.
Yeah, I think we may be missing each other on that point. Can we go back? You got the thing? Can you go back to that chart? So you can depreciate property, whether it's personal property or any type of property. Like a business, for example, they buy a machine and they depreciate it 10% a year or something. Okay?
Right.
What? Not this one. The one with the Freddie Mac. Here. There we go. These are market values. So these are market values.
Right.
Okay. So not a depreciated value, but this is what houses. Let's take stick built first. Freddie Mac. They looked at what an average house cost in 1995. Then they went and looked at what that average house cost in 1996, and they showed how it keeps on going year to year. So this is what the houses sell for. They did the same thing with manufactured homes. So the average manufactured home was in 95 was $75,000, $60,000. I don't know what the number was. And then some years it went up, some years it went down, but it followed single stick-built houses. And you could see, and this is the U.S. government. This is Freddie Mac put this together and analyzed this for 20 years. What you're talking about is, again, like if I have a piece of like my computer equipment at my office, I depreciate. Okay, so maybe when I bought it, it was $2,000, and I depreciated it down to $1,000. Okay, but if I put it on eBay, maybe I get $3,000 for it,
Right.
just because it's depreciated. But taxes go on market value, not on some depreciated value. So this shows the market value of the houses.
The personal property taxes go on an appreciated value, but from the Arizona Department of Revenue.
So if a manufactured home is purchased today for $120,000, and 10 years from now, it's resold and the person gets $160,000, you're saying the county's not going to then tax that at $160,000. They're going to look at a depreciation.
The way it's set up, I don't think it will.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess I really can't talk to how the county assesses. In most places, it's done by market value. Yeah. I can't speak to the county.
Right, and I mean, because I've even got a couple here where I have a 2004, and in a 2004 manufactured home, and they were paying in 2017 $662 a year, and now they're down to 514. So, I mean, you know, there is a set depreciation schedule. I have a copy of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I'm just trying to say, is that over a period of time, we're actually going to be losing assessed valuation as these manufactured homes age.
Okay, our formula has worked throughout the country, including like in Palm Creek, which is in the same county, obviously, in Pinell County. So I can't speak to your charts, but we've been good, proud members of the community, and we've been embraced by the communities that we have communities in. So.
Well, and again, I just want to say, I mean, I'm sure that you guys have done your homework on this, Because what you're wanting to do is you're wanting to make a big investment. And you're going to do that when you first acquire the property, and then when you start putting in your offsites. So, you know, I'm sure that you've done your homework and you feel that this is going to go, and that's great. It's just I am looking out, you know, for the interest here locally, and I mean, I guess you can say the impact fees and everything are going to level that out, but at some point, I don't think it will. So.
I guess I would just add one more thing. And again, and there was a point, and it was a subtle point, but a big number. When you look at the average median income of an area, and in Coolidge, I'm not sure exactly what the average median income is, but it's somewhere in the 50 to 60,000. People spend about a third of it on their house themselves, and they're left with 2/3. Okay, and that 2/3 tends to get spent. Okay. And not all of it gets spent in the city or the county, right? You make a car payment, you do a variety of things. But when you look at the average, the median income at stabilization, and you take out what it costs for housing, and you look what's left, and they spend it, it's approximately $55 million. And we get these statistics from a company called Esri, which does all the demographics across the country. And that $55 million, again, it's not spent all here, but a lot of the dollars are spent local, and this is what drives new restaurants. It drives urgent cares. It drives drugstores, supermarkets, different retail stores. So there's a lot of ancillary benefit to getting rooftops, and rooftops always are the start of a vibrant city. You get rooftops, you get commercial, you get all the benefits of that. So does that outweigh if the county does look at depreciation? I don't know, but there is a lot of value in people spending money in your local economy.
Yes, most definitely. And I'll tell you, having grown up here, we have less population. We had more restaurants than we do now. I mean, I can't explain that.
And stores.
So, I mean, I think some of the others that grew up here, like Jackie herself, I mean, I think she could tell you the same thing.
And stores.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have the rooftops, but we still haven't seen the restaurants. And I know we're all waiting on that Burger King. I'm about Burger Kinged out, right there.
So I just want to make a couple little comments. Or I have a question for Rick. So when we had our one-on-one meetings, you know, I talked a lot about the roadway. So they've changed the situation on the road, what they're going to do. Is that right?
What do you mean they changed
They're taking care of the side of the road closest to the
Yes,
the
correct. The roads that they will build that are going to be city maintained
Mm-hmm.
are the perimeter roads, Martin Road, Skousen Road, and ultimately Kenworthy. Those are the only roads that the city will maintain. Everything internal will
Right.
be privately maintained by the developer, correct? And they're going to be building those to our standards on those perimeter roadways we have a master thoroughfare plan that says these are minor arterial roadways. They're going to ultimately be 5 lanes for the church and everybody in the audience as the city builds out and as we see more traffic and as we see congestion in these streets, sometimes cities will have to use their impact fees to widen the streets to make those kind of improvements to satisfy the traffic demands. And that's what the impact fees are collected for, actually.
Okay, and so I went over to Casa Grande, and I went into Palm Creek, and I went over to Spanish Trail. So when I went into Palm Creek, you said there was no on-street parking. Well, I saw a lot of on-street parking when I went through, and that was today. Maybe they just hadn't gotten caught yet. But I want to say that those, of course, your Spanish Trail is rather new, you know, but the other, you know, I don't know if the other owner did the stuff that you guys are doing, but it's very nice. I will say that. And the one thing that I noticed is those houses are closer to the road where ours are going to be set back, you know, according to our setback regulations,
Yeah,
correct?
these lots are 55 by 110, which is actually bigger than most of our subdivision lots, single-family subdivision lots in town.
Well, I mean, there was some beautiful homes and they have come a long ways. I live in one, but I own my own property. I have a double lot. Mine's set in the ground. But nowadays you can get granite and all that kind of stuff. Well, back then I couldn't, you know. But anyway, just the outside of the houses are very nice. And so I just wanted to state I did go through your two projects over in Casa Grande.
I have some questions and then a few comments. You know, we've had a big rush over the last couple of years on new home subdivisions and building, as you guys are well aware of. We see investors coming in and buying up numerous homes in our new home subdivisions, and they turn them into rentals. They hold them in their groups. Can they do that in this subdivision? No? Okay. That was one of the questions I had for you. And your comparable sales, when you talked about comparable sales in Buckeye around your, they're fairly close to your development, are they not?
Adjacent, yes.
So that really hasn't, the way it looks, hasn't impacted your sales, or I guess there could be more, but they're still selling over there.
Oh, is your question, Mayor Thompson? Thank you for your question. Are you asking about these? Are they adjacent to?
Yeah.
Yes. they are.
Okay, yeah, okay. And as far as I know, Rick, there's no water on this piece of dirt that we're talking about, that they're talking about developing. There's no water there.
This property does not have a certificate of assured water supply. And, we have several properties around the city that have certificates of assured water supply that have not been developed yet, that will be developed for single-family housing, probably your site-built housing, but this property does not have that designation. That's correct. Mayor.
So unless the state legislature or the governor does something regarding water, there's just going to be, that's the way it's going to sit for now.
Yes, well, that's correct.
Unless somebody else comes in and does another type of project, or the state legislature changes whatever they're going to change regarding zoning, and then who knows what you'll get. But, okay. I was looking at some of these, and I was listening to some of this conversation, and you're right, even if it goes down after 10 years, it's a 10-year build-out on your project, right? So if you built one and in 10 years, you built your last ones, you'd still have a 20-year span. And it would be staggered in your assessments, right?
Yes, Mayor. Build out is expected 6 to 10 years, so
Yeah.
correct.
So assuming that the Pinal County assessor came out and assessed your property, which sometimes they do and sometimes they don't, you'd be in that situation. It's not like any of this, if it does pass, any of this isn't all going to happen overnight, and it's all not all. It's going to be somewhat staggered.
Yeah, correct, Mayor. The easiest way for me to think about it is 225 approximately per phase at, I believe, 4 phases and over a 6 to 10 year span.
This has been a kind of a tough one for me because I'm not real crazy about some of this. I don't like your narrow roads. I mean, I understand, why you do what you do, but I do like your bigger lots. And I did see on some of the information that Gilbert provided us on Landmark, there were some 45-foot lots on there, but I'm assuming, and you should never do that, but they were probably on the old PAD, and you're changing those 45s went to 50 or 55s? Is that correct?
Correct, Mayor.
So they are bigger than a lot of the single-family homes that were, the lots are bigger. Okay. So, I'm looking at this and, there'll be a vote sooner or later, sometime tonight, I'm assuming. But I just wanted to say that, one of the reasons that when I look at this, what I see is, this council's made some decisions that every time I bring it up, somebody says you shouldn't bring that up, but we've probably authorized a few things over the years that became unpopular. Nobody mentioned anything the first 3 years we did it, but it became unpopular, and we haven't done it anymore. But if we wouldn't have done what we did with solar, right now, we've got 17 new home permits this year in Coolidge. So the money we've been making the last 2 years is gone. I mean, it's not gone, but we're not making that money this year. And so my point is, to anybody, the guy sitting up here, the guy sitting out there, when you're running a city, the way I look at it, is you have to have different revenue sources, and they have to come from all over, and you can't just count on one. You can't look at Superior. You put all your eggs in one basket, and if the mine shuts down and you got to wait on the federal government to help you to get it reopened, you could be waiting quite some time. So what I'm saying is, this would just be another project that would contribute revenue for 10 years. So if something else goes wrong, then you have that revenue coming in, if it passes. And you're not always going to get everything you want when you look at these things. I was thinking about, on the lighter side, when you were talking about amenities, everybody wants dog parks and splash pads, and I didn't see a splash pad on there. It was one of those things that, for the city, that's my job here. That's our job, but it's my job as being one of the members of this council, is to make sure this city is financially stable moving forward. And when you turn projects away, whether you like them or not, nobody else is going to have a project like this. You look at Florence, and they're going to be building single-family houses because they have their own water company, and they're going to be building single-family houses. And you look at Eloy, they have their own water company, and they're going to be building single-family houses. If nobody can afford single-family houses, they're going to have to look for another product. And if somebody chooses to live, people live in things all the time that I wouldn't live in, but they don't mind. They live in them, and vice versa. So, I'm just saying, if we have a different product, then maybe we'll attract people that like that product, or that's what they can afford, and that's what they're going to live in. I'm just, it's certainly not, no offense to you guys, it's not exactly, I would have, maybe a senior park would have been a little easier for everybody, but I do think that is the reason that a lot of those restaurants can't, they probably paid premier dollar to get that spot right there, to build that restaurant, that steakhouse, because that is where a lot of, if you've eaten in there, you just got to look around and you know where their business is coming from, a lot of it. So, I look at this, I did the pros and the cons, and, there was more reasons to do it than not do it, but I'm just one guy up here. But I did want to say that there's a lot of reasons that you look at these things. There's no water there. You don't know what the state legislature is going to do. I'm very fearful that they're going to, within the next 2 or 3 years, take zoning away from the cities. And then you're going to get what you get. And we won't ever be having these conversations again as a council, because we won't have any decision. We won't have a P&Z board. The builders will just come in and do what they want to do. And if you don't like it, too bad. And we won't be asking anybody to build any half a road, put in any turning lanes, or anything of that nature, because we won't have a say in anything. So, and if you don't think they've got the money and the power to do it, stick around and watch. So, those are my comments. I'm done with that. Anybody down here have anything they want to say?
I have just one last comment, and that's in regard to the home prices. I mean, yeah, home prices are up right now, but I think we all can remember in the mid-2000s, they were all up real high, and then these same homes that were selling for $250,000, $300,000, then turned around, they were being sold for $80,000. I think we're in another bubble, and it might burst sometime. So it's the home prices may come down again, but then, as you said, we get a lot of investors then, so.
Yeah, he's right, because I got people all the time trying to get me to, go to training for bank repos, because they're expecting a lot of people to lose their homes. But it's a different product. It's something that some of these other communities will not have. And if we've got it, they're gonna have to come here if that's what they wanna do. So, anyway, do you guys have anything else?
Just one last thing. I mean, I have a lot of reservations about this, and but I mean, like I said, you guys are the ones that are taking the big financial risk, and as long as you guys are gonna want to get along with your neighboring property owners, that's fine. I mean, because I don't want anything shoved down the throats of anybody that's a neighboring property owner. Had that done to me. And that's a big concern to me with anything, because I had it done twice to me. So as long as you're willing and you're able, I can support your product. But if you don't do it, I mean, I'll be one of the loudest ones out there.
He's right. Those guys in the front row over there and the guys at that church, I've known a lot of those people at that church. And Dennis wanted to bring the Reverend Wiley back. So you don't want him after you. I guarantee you that. He has connections. So you better watch your P's and Q's. But that's it. It is a pretty tight community. And if you guys come in here and stand here and say you're gonna do something, then you need to stand by your word. Don't walk out of here and forget, because I know where you work, and I know you gave us a work address and not your home address, but don't think that's going to stop us from finding you. So, the bottom line is I don't know how it's going to turn out, but when we vote, but I do know that this is a tight community. That church has been there a long time. Lovey Hall used to go to that church. A lot of people I know go there. So the city will take care of its part as far as what's going on with if they're speeding up and down that road. We'll take care of that. But if we need some extra lanes or some turning lanes or something, you guys, if you're going to come in, if this passes and you get in, you're going to be part of the community then. So we're going to need, if we need something, you guys are going to have to come in and pony up. Those other guys that were behind you last time agreed to help us with a stoplight. So there's things that, that everybody's going to be in it together. So, all right. Anything else? No?
I'm good.
You guys good? Over here? All right, then I guess we need a motion to do something. There we are.
Mayor, if there's no further discussion, I make a motion that we approve it.
Second.
All right, the motion is second. Norma?
All right. Councilmember Eric Daniels? Oh,
Councilmember Hudson, your motion is to
Approve the ordinance.
All the conditions that are part of the report and everything like that.
That's correct.
Okay. That's what you seconded, Councilmember.
Yep.
okay. Councilmember Daniels?
Yes.
Okay. Councilmember Hudson? Councilmember Hudson? Yep, I'm good. I'm kind of,
Huh?
I'm mixing it up.
Oh, you asking me? Yes.
He's on oxygen, Norma.
My machine makes a lot of noise.
Can't
Gotta
hear.
speak
He's on
up.
oxygen.
I know. Councilmember Muriete?
No.
Councilmember Saavedra?
No.
Vice Mayor Henry,
Yes.
okay, Councilmember Bagnell,
Yes.
and Mayor Thompson.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. All right, report from the mayor, council, Councilmember Bagnell.
Nothing to report.
I've got nothing.
Nothing.
Eric, you got anything?
Nothing, Mayor.
The other day. El Gato. El Gato.
Yeah, that's the name of it.
I just want to thank all city staff. I know we got an email of Public Works picking up a lot of illegal dumping, and I want to thank them for that. And I went to the ribbon cutting, was it El huh?
Grotto,
El Grotto?
Thursday?
Or something like that, huh?
Thursday,
Pardon me?
last Thursday.
Yeah, last Thursday. Anyway, so we have another business in town, and I think that's it.
El Grotto, that's a bar. It's like
Okay, you're up.
I don't have anything, Mayor. I gave you each, I'm on a roll. I know this is several months in a row I've given you a city manager's report. With this is a police department report, which is always a little bit of a month, like a month behind. I also have you a report in there from the Global Water Resources. They're required as part of their IGA or MOU with the city to provide an annual report, so that's as well for you. That's it, Mayor.
Okay. You're pretty good. You brought us up to date.
A lot of stuff there. If you have any questions about anything that's in the report, let me know.
All right, thank you. I don't have anything. Need a motion to get out of here.
So move.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you for coming.